Good morning, everyone. My name is Anna. I'm a wife of an addict in recovery, and I'm also recovering myself from codependency. We're going to go maybe this way. The sunbeam just wants to go on my face today. Today I wanted to come on and I wanted to share Mitchell and I's story because I do know we have a lot of newcomers to the page, and I know that we kind of sprinkle our story throughout videos, and there have been videos that we have done that are completely to our story. But I wanted to see if I could create more of a quicker version that would be done within 20 to 30 minutes. So obviously it won't have everything in it, but I want to give the time frames and things like that so people can see more of Mitchell and I's story and what it looked like. So good morning, everyone. I'm going to start right off the bat and right now. So Mitchell and I, we met in 2008. We met down in the Outer Banks in North Carolina. I was originally from Massachusetts. Mitchell was from North Carolina, but from a different place. His hometown, though, originally he is from Washington, Pennsylvania. We met down there. We did actually meet at a bar. We met at a bar called Portical. I just remember after that, not to go really into the meeting of that, but when we met Mitchell that night. Yes, if people ask, was there drinking involved? Yes, there was. I met Mitchell when I was 22 years old. So I was out with my cousin and my brother, so there was drinking involved. I think a lot of you can understand that being that age, that's not even a first thing that comes to mind. It just seems like that's the scene. After you graduate high school and you're going into college, there's more of the drinking scene. And I will tell you, I wasn't very much still, I drank, but not like a really, really heavy drinker. We met that night. Mitchell decided to come out every single night for the week that we were in the Outer Banks. And when I decided to move down to Florida, which was after that week, because I had worked for Disney, I decided to go down, and Mitchell said, you know, hey, I'd like to meet you down there. And I did not believe him, but Mitchell did come all the way down from North Carolina down to Florida. And after that, I've got to be honest, I've never felt that way about anyone. I remember coming home and asking my mom, how did you know Daddy was the one? There was just something about Mitchell. There was actually a moment where we were laying on the ground, looked into Mitchell's eyes, and all I can tell you is it felt like time stopped. And I'm a very intuitive person. I believe a lot in my gifts, and I looked into those eyes and I went, I'm going to see those eyes 80 years down the road. And there was almost this feeling too of I've met him before. And for Mitchell will tell you it was love at first sight. The first night he met me, that's why he stayed after his friends left. He was like, I'm gonna marry this woman. She's the most beautiful woman in the world. And I thought it was a lie until I met his parents. And nope, Mitchell did say that the night when back. So after we met, we did long distance relationship for quite some time. So Mitchell and I met in 2008. Mitchell and I definitely did long distance relationship for about 2 years, a little bit more than that. I left Florida after that, found out Florida wasn't for me, went up to Massachusetts, so lived back in Massachusetts. Mitchell wanted to be closer to me, so he left North Carolina where he was living and he went back to his hometown to Washington, Pennsylvania to live with his parents because he wanted to be closer. So Mitchell and I, for 2 years, back and forth, planes, driving. One would go to Washington, Pennsylvania. One would come to Lakeville, Massachusetts. In that time, if people say, did you really notice an addiction then? No, I absolutely did not. And that was for about a good 2 years. I can tell you, though, and I think some of you will understand this, addiction still wasn't in the forefront of my brain. However, there were times, I remember the first time that Mitchell was more volatile when we had an argument, and I have never experienced that when someone is really raising their tone and really upset. I've never felt that before or been in that before. So I remember going, you know, what happened, what occurred, and I did know he was out with his friends and that he was drinking. So I will tell you, it did start to plant the seed, though, that it sounds like or feels like when Mitchell is drinking, some meanness happens. So within that 2 years, I will tell you, it didn't necessarily go, hey, here's addiction. It just was, Mitchell's drinking, and I noticed that sometimes he says things that he really shouldn't. And then, of course, Mitchell would apologize the next morning and say, I'm so sorry for the way I acted. And I 100% believed him. My mind went to, okay, when you're drinking, you get drunk. I know you do stupid things. After the 2 years that we did the long distance relationship, Mitchell and I would go sometimes a couple months without seeing one another, but we were always talking to one another, always on the phone, always over webcam, always communicating with one another. Mitchell decided that he wanted to be closer, so he moved up here to Massachusetts and was living up here. I think we did that for about another 2 years, up here in Massachusetts. Might have been a little bit less than that. Mitchell and I, we might have had the long distance relationship for about 3 years. So after that, Mitchell came up here to Massachusetts. Now, I will tell you, once Mitchell came up to here to Massachusetts to live, I definitely did start recognizing more things. So met in 2008. This is probably around 2011. And I did start noticing that when we went out, we drank, Mitchell would do things that seemed very out of character. And that's when, again, to be completely honest with everyone on here, it still wasn't this thought in my head of going, oh, he's an addict. It just became, okay, I'm actually witnessing this now. Before it was such long distance that it would be more over the phone. Now it was in front of me. And to be completely honest with you, rather than it still being the addiction, I would just start seeing Mitchell do these real big highs, like a mania, like really getting this, this is a good life, feeling happy, feeling joy. And then within like 3 weeks to a month, all of a sudden it would just be this complete decline. It would be like this, woe is me, look at my life. And that, to be honest, I think that was more of the what's happening here type of thought. And I just really thought in my mind, it again was an addiction, is, oh, Mitchell's depressed. And I remember being more nervous even at that point in time of Mitchell committing suicide, because it would just be these very deep lows. It would just be these back and forths that would seem to happen. I can tell you, one of my really good friends did tell me one time, when we were down in North Carolina, so it was when I was, I think we were still in long distance or not. I do remember her telling me, hey, Anna, do you realize that Mitchell always has to have a drink in his hand for everything? I do remember that was my first light bulb moment. Again, still wouldn't say addict or alcoholic. It just was in my mind of, you're right. Why does Mitchell always have to have a drink in his hand? And after she said that, we walked around Greenfield Lake in North Carolina. Mitchell pulled out an alcohol. And I remember going, why do you need that, Mitchell? And he said, well, we're just walking around. I just want something to drink. And again, that was another what's going on type of deal. And I definitely was more, it was kind of like the Matrix. Okay, I took the red pill, so there was no escaping anymore. I saw every single time when Mitchell drank, so it became more in the forefront. It wasn't this, I didn't see this anymore, I saw it. When we got married, Mitchell and I got married in 2013. Being completely honest with people, I didn't tell this to Mitchell till after we got married, and till after we were in Washington, Pennsylvania, and we were working with a marriage therapist. However, being completely honest with people, I was very scared and very nervous to marry Mitchell. I had already started building walls to Mitchell, especially I would really say when Mitchell moved here to Massachusetts. So about 3 years after we met, I will be honest with everyone, I definitely started building walls, and reason being, it just seemed like we had more fights and they were evolving around the alcohol. So for me, I knew that I cared about Mitchell. I knew that I loved Mitchell, but I definitely had an arm's length away from Mitchell. To be completely honest, I was guarding my heart for sure. When Mitchell did propose, I have to be honest with everyone, I was terrified. It was not at that time the happiest moment in my life. In all honesty, I was thinking in my head, I gotta say no, I gotta say no. Mitchell proposed in front of my family here at the house. We were eating dinner, and I remember, all I can tell you is this, guys, the codependency coming up. I can't say no. I can't say no. When in actuality, I need everyone out there to know I could have said no. Okay, even though my brain was going, I'm stuck. I can't say no. All these people here, what are they going to think? I'm telling you right now, I know now I had a choice, but I remember that freezing feeling, that sick to your stomach feeling, that anxiety of feeling stuck, that I could not say no in that moment. I remember going over to my daddy, and I remember holding him and crying, and I remember in my mind saying, Daddy, please don't let this man take me. And that's damn hard for Mitchell to hear. And again, we talked about this later on when we were having marriage therapy, and that was a few years past this time. So when Mitchell and I, we were fiancé now. I remember after that, being honest with people, I was still thinking about if I wanted to be in the relationship or not. Mitchell and I can't remember when this time is. I can just remember the events, and I think a lot of you can understand that. We really remember events. It's not necessarily we remember exactly date and time of where they are sometimes. That is how trauma works also. Or it could be on the other side of the spectrum, trauma, and you remember everything in every detail. I just remember events. I don't know where it was in the time frame. I just do know that it was after Mitchell proposed. And we went to Paul and Michelle's wedding, which is Mitchell's brother. We were at their wedding. Mitchell was drinking tremendously that night. I remember putting him to bed and hoping to God it wasn't going to be a bad night, because there had been many of nights where it was bad with alcohol. So I put Mitchell to bed, walked away. I thought I would have a good night. Yes, being honest to everyone, I was drinking as well. And then what happened was Mitchell was woken up. He was pissed that he got woken up. All I remember is hearing something get thrown down the stairs. I looked down the stairs. He threw my nice camera down the stairs. I was very upset by that. I tried to calm down. I told Mitchell, I did tell Mitchell though, are you kidding me? You just threw my camera. And it was my camera and my lenses. And so I was very upset by that. Then later on, I hear that Mitchell punched a wall and broke his hand, that they thought. So I went upstairs to go talk to Mitchell, and I wanted to see if Mitchell was okay. And now I need you to know, everyone on here, when I am saying these things about Mitchell, this is not our Mitchell that we know right now. This is the disease of addiction, the disorder, the mental disorder of addiction, that what I'm going to express here to you. I went up, the addict was there. Of course, I didn't think that at the time. I knew nothing about addiction, so it was Mitchell to me. I went up and I asked the addict, are you okay? And the addict told me I was an effing bitch. I had never been spoken to that way in my entire life by a man. I remember getting really upset and crying and saying, are you kidding me? Did you just call me that when I was coming up to see if you were okay? And again, proceeded to tell me to get the F out of here. And I remember going downstairs, calling my parents, looking at my engagement ring, and really going, this is it. I don't want to be in this. Next morning, we went to the hospital. I remember wanting to tell Mitchell, I'm done. I can't do this. I remember seeing Marcia, his mother, and his mother looked very sad and distraught as well, and said, he doesn't care what's happened with his hand right now. He's just so scared about what's going to happen to you and how you're feeling. And I just remember going in and seeing Mitchell in the room, and he looked so defeated. He was tearing up. His head was down. His shoulders were slunched. And it was my Mitchell. And he just looked at me, and he didn't know what to say. And he said, I'm so ashamed. I'm so sorry. And I'm not going to lie to everyone on here. It pulled on my heartstrings. I felt horrible for him. And I asked him what was going on. He had to have like metal plates put in his hand and screws and all those things. And I thought that was the point that Mitchell would stop drinking, and he did for some time. It slowly came back in. There are multiple times that I could go into where bad things happen when people drink and do that, but I'm not going to go into that. And the reason being is because we can go into it any other time if people have other questions, but I really want to kind of make a shorter version of this story. So that's just a moment I wanted to express, because that was a big moment in my life. Now here in Massachusetts, Mitchell and I get married, and we get married in 2013. Okay, so met in 2008, long distance relationship for quite some time. proposed, stay proposed, I think for about 2 years in all honesty, get married in 2013. I do remember getting married down at the lake, and to be completely honest with you, I remember walking with my daddy and going, what the hell am I doing? What am I doing? What am I doing? And then all of a sudden I saw Mitchell looking back at me and crying, and that was my Mitchell. And at that time, I had still not learned how to separate the addict from the true individual. All I can tell you is I think my mind was doing it. I was terrified when I was walking down to the lake, and I was thinking of the addict, the addict, the addict. Why am I doing this? Why am I doing this? And then all of a sudden I saw the man that was looking back at me with nothing but love in his eyes. And I saw my Mitchell. And I remember after being married, I enrolled myself into school, back into college again for the second time. To be completely honest, I do think I did it because I was scared of what was to come. And I think I actually enrolled in school before Mitchell and I got married, to be honest. I do know I needed to stay here in Massachusetts to finish up college. So Mitchell moved back to Pennsylvania to take over the family company. What I can tell you is I know that is when things started to get even worse, but I will tell you throughout all that time, yes, guys, addiction's not like a light switch. It's a slow burn. So, of course, there were nights where Mitchell was mean with alcohol, but then all of a sudden it would be okay for a few months, and then all of a sudden it would happen again. Then there'd be screaming and yelling, then stopping of drinking for a little while, and then drinking again. So there was a lot of that, names being called, all that stuff, a lot of empty promises, all that. When I was here, and Mitchell going back to Washington, Pennsylvania, I do believe that's where it went worse. And the reason why I say that is because he was back in the same hometown. He was back with people that he used to use with. It was more accessible to get his drugs. I did not know at all that Mitchell was doing cocaine. I thought it was an alcohol problem, and I did not find out about cocaine way later. And so when Mitchell was in Washington, Pennsylvania, taking over the family company, I was here, and all I can tell you is there was a lot more meanness. That's all I can tell you, a lot more meanness, a lot more fights. And after I graduated from college, I did move to Washington, Pennsylvania, and I think that was about 2013, 2014. And all I can tell you is definitely for sure that's when life became living hell. Every single day. It was not those sporadic month to month. It was every single day for me. All I can tell you is Mitchell's has taken over the family company, but all of a sudden his parents or his sisters are calling me to figure out where Mitchell is. He's not going to work, but yet you talk to Mitchell and Mitchell says, I don't know what you're talking about. I have been to work. Mitchell constantly telling me he's going to go get a specific tool, and he's gone for hours. Mitchell telling me he needs to go get this from somebody or give someone a tool, and he's gone for hours. Random people showing up at the house, and I remember watching to see if Mitchell was really exchanging tools, and I saw no such thing. Then all of a sudden watching the bank account and seeing the bank account have $300 taken out at an ATM, then on the same day another ATM being taken out, another additional $300, then a third ATM with an additional $100 to $300 taken out. So you're talking like $700 to $900 being taken out a day within that week. And asking Mitchell, where's this money going? And him telling me it's for the business. I need to buy tools and all this other stuff. And going, Mitchell, you have a credit card for the business. Why are you doing that? Mitchell coming back and being completely hyper. And then all of a sudden, the next day, not getting out of bed and sleeping the entire day away. Trying to get him out of bed, trying to be as an alarm clock. Him asking me sometimes, like, I want to be better. And again, to be honest with you guys, Mitchell wasn't drinking alcohol, at least for what I could see. So I really had no freaking clue what the hell was happening. I was just trying to figure out the pieces. I knew something was wrong with Mitchell, really wrong, but I had no idea what the hell was going on. I was trying to figure out. I just didn't understand. I knew Mitchell was lying to me, but I couldn't prove that Mitchell was lying to me. I felt so insane. He'd look back at me and tell me he wasn't doing these things. Mitchell did now get a DUI. It was Mitchell's second DUI. I remember thinking that was Mitchell's wake-up call. He was caught by the police driving over 100 miles per hour without his shoes on. He didn't even, he thought he pulled over in the right lane. He pulled over in the median, in the left lane. He lost his license for, I think, over a year, almost 2 years. Reason being is because he denied a test to the police officers. And after that, I think that's where everything really took off, guys, because obviously we had a massive talk that alcohol is not welcome in this world. Like, you cannot drink. Like, look what just happened. And Mitchell, it was always this on and off, to be honest. I gotta be honest with everybody on here. I was a freaking massive codependent that you would think. So there was time that Mitchell would stop drinking, and then all of a sudden I do think there was times that Mitchell would go, would you mind if I had one? Like, I remember we were in Alaska, and Mitchell asked me, would we have one? And I felt, well, we're in Alaska. Nothing's going to happen here. And I remember telling Mitchell, sure, you can have one. That is so freaking codependent. Okay? What I should have done is, it's your choice. Do I want you to have one? No. And if you do, I'm going to detach from you because I know what hell comes from this. But look at me. I'm so much like, I don't know if I have the right to say something. I don't know if I should say something. So I looked at him and said, sure. Okay? So I want everyone to know, like, God, I made millions of mistakes in this journey. I was severely codependent. I had no freaking boundaries until I really met a support system. I did not know what to do. I had someone that I knew loved me but was doing all these actions and unhealthy behaviors and hurting me that I was just like, why would someone do this? I don't get this. Like, why is Mitchell choosing a substance over me? Because I didn't understand addiction. So I want people to know, like, there's no freaking way that the things that you hear me say now, they were not in place back then. Okay? So I don't want you to feel alone in this journey. Like, I felt so freaking insane. I remember times holding my head and being so frustrated and so angry because it was like, I know myself, but I was like, why would he lie? Why would he do this? Like, Mitchell would flat out look at me, show me a drink and go, would you want a sip? When I thought there was alcohol, and my mind would go, why would someone do that if there was alcohol in it? So no, I don't want to take a sip. But there was alcohol in there. Okay, so I need you to know there was a lot. When I started to get back on my medicine for my ADHD medicine, okay, so I went back on Ritalin. And I've got to be honest with people, why did I go back on Ritalin? Because I couldn't stay focused with anything. I was so depressed. I know that now. I just thought it was my ADHD. I wasn't focused. I realized when I was on it in school that I was happier, that I was more engaged. So I went back on that medicine. And I do admit I went on it because I felt it, to me, it was a happy pill. It definitely kept me focused. So I went on the medicine because I thought it was going to fix things. So look at me trying to just look a pill to fix things also. And I started noticing my medicine was missing. I remember going to Mitchell and going, are you taking my medicine? He said, no, I'm not. And so I remember going, okay, like, who else would be taking my medicine? So then I remember sitting in the Giant Eagle parking lot after I get my medicine from the pharmacy and counting my medicine to see how much, because Mitchell started telling me that maybe the pharmacy was taking it because it was a controlled substance. Like, think about this. Like, I think about this now. Freaking insanity. It's your freaking husband stealing it. He's an addict. But my mind went, okay, well, sitting in here and let's make sure. So I'm sitting out there counting my pills like a freaking crazy woman because I think someone stole it. Okay, of course, later to find out Mitchell's stealing my medicine. I remember Mitchell one time handing me, because, again, like, don't feel alone in this, okay? I did some stuff, and I know when I tell people, because I'm going to speak the same stuff, so please, like, we are the same. Just know this, okay? I'm going to say what I did was stupid, and I even look at all the other people and go, it wasn't stupid. You were doing the best you can, and so I know what you mean when you say those words, but I also need to learn that I was doing the best that I could, okay? So I remember asking Mitchell to go get my medicine for me. Why would I ask him to get my medicine for me? Why would I do that? Okay, so I asked him to get medicine. He comes up with a Ziploc bag, and there is a broken container in there with my Ritalin all scattered in. And I go, what happened? And he said, oh, I'm sorry, Anna. I was carrying your medicine in my backpack, and it fell out, and I didn't realize it, and I ran over it with the truck. And I said, well, how did you know you ran over it with the truck? You usually wouldn't hear that sound. And he said, well, I heard the sound, and so I went out and I saw the pills. He's like, that's why there's gravel in there. I couldn't find all of them. I apologize. And I remember sitting there and like seeing like 15 pills were gone. And I just remember literally going, like, this is a lie. But yet this other part, my brain was like, well, I don't know. I don't know. Okay, so all I remember is when we finally, and I was like, Mitchell, I'm missing medicine. I counted it. I'm missing it. And I remember him going, I didn't do it, Anna. But then I went out again. I went, Mitchell, I knew you took it. And he said, well, what do you want from me? What do you want from me? And I remember going, I don't want you to steal my medicine. Mitchell, you were stealing my medicine. It was after I bought a lockbox. Like, look. Oh my God, when I do my story, I literally sit there now sometimes and I'm just sitting here and I'm even thinking, like, how did I go through that stuff? Why did I not think this stuff was wrong? Like, but that's the insanity of addiction, guys. We get so sucked into it that our brain gets so warped. We go into survival brain too, rather logic and reasoning, okay? That's why it's so imperative for family members to work our own recovery. Okay, so when I'm talking to that moment, now it's piecing together again, that moment I remember was because I already had bought in a lockbox because Mitchell told me to get something to put his medicine in because he could not trust himself. What the hell? And on top of it, I'm going to tell you something I did astronomically wrong. Mitchell went to go get his own medicine. When Mitchell was depressed, even before this, I remember telling Mitchell, go get your own medicine. If you believe you have ADHD and that's why you're taking the medicine, go talk to the doctor. I should have gone to the doctor and been like, hey, there's a freaking problem here. My husband's stealing my medicine. Don't give it to him. So they prescribed him medicine. Mitchell got Ritalin. So what did Mitchell do with it? Mitchell took my medicine, pounded it up, snorted up his nose. Ritalin, popped out the little beads that was there, cracked that up, snorted up his nose. Mitchell flat out told me it was better than cocaine. And that's what he would utilize. And it's a free script. Okay, so I remember Mitchell telling me to get a lock and key, and I remember, this is when the moment I remembered, honestly, guys, or I really finally came out of the denial and was like, there's a problem. Because we had got a lock and key, and I thought Mitchell had to go through my stuff to find my key. Later on, Mitchell admitted to me that he went through a bunch of keys to find out if it worked, and he found one key that worked, and he was like, holy crap, this works. So my mind thought that you are searching through all my stuff to find a key, there's a problem. After that, Mitchell and I went into marriage therapy, and when we went into marriage therapy, this is where the word addiction came into play. I can't tell you how long Mitchell and I did marriage therapy. Again, there's like sporadic. I know we did it. Then Mitchell stopped going. He didn't want to go anymore. I decided I'm not going to stop. I'm going to keep going. Rachel was my saving grace in that. And I remember Rachel was the one that said, Anna, I think Mitchell's an addict. And that's when she also said, Anna, do you know what codependency is? And I said, no. She says, I want you to do some research on it tonight. And so that's what I did. I went home and I remember looking up codependency, and it basically said you need someone for like your life and your happiness. I remember going, I don't freaking need him. I don't need him. So I didn't do too much digging into codependency after that. It was just like this, hell no, that's not true. But I definitely was. I think Mitchell is an addict. And I do remember after that, or a little bit before that, Andrea, which is Mitchell's sister, and Marcia's mom sat me down one night because I told them I think Mitchell's an addict. And then I remember us going upstairs and they started telling me and saying that there had been thousands of dollars missing from the company. There has been thousands of dollars that have been missing in total from other people's homes. Alcohol has been continuously missing from people's homes. I gotta be honest, I remember in my mind going, why didn't you tell me this before? And then I remember them actually telling me, Anna, this is not the first time. Mitchell has been an addict since high school. I'm going to be completely honest with everyone on here. I didn't express it to them, but I was very angry. I was very angry. And I was angry because I think I felt for years, which I'm going to tell you right now is codependency. I felt like I was the only police officer. I was feeling like I was the only one that was holding consequences to Mitchell for his actions and his choices. I was for years trying to figure out what the hell was happening. And no one had ever told me that Mitchell had always been an addict. I felt almost like betrayed. I don't know if that's the right feeling, but all I can tell you is I was hurt. I was angry. And when they started to tell me, Anna, when Mitchell was younger, he went to rehab. And I was like, what the F is happening right now? Why did no one tell me this when they know that I have been trying to keep afloat for years, and they know I was hurt and trying to figure out what was going on? Why was this not told to me? I remember them then coming in and saying one of the things that Mitchell was addiction to was cocaine. Everything just started also falling into pieces into this puzzle. I remember later making an appointment for Mitchell to go see the doctor about depression. I had come here to Massachusetts. He had told me he had gone to the appointment. I was my codependent self. I called the doctor, and the doctor said, no, Anna, I'm sorry, Mitchell has not come into this appointment. I then remember being with my uncle, which is a recovering alcoholic, and he told me, Anna, how's Mitchell been doing? I'm like, he hasn't been drinking. And I remember my uncle going, Anna, you can't just stop and do nothing. What's he's been doing for himself? He's been doing nothing, she said. I remember him going, Anna, you don't just stop alcohol without doing anything. There's another substance in play. And that's when it hit home. Mitchell's been using cocaine this whole time. And I remember coming home in that room with my daddy. And I remember telling my daddy, Daddy, if Mitchell's doing cocaine, I can't do this anymore. And honestly, guys, I need you to think about that. That's why I'm like so passionate when I say it doesn't freaking matter if they're addicts or alcoholics. It doesn't matter if we label them narcissists or not. It's the behaviors and how you are being treated. My God, stand up for yourselves. Because my mind, I know in that time, I know my mind went, well, now because it's not alcohol and it's more, I can leave. I shouldn't need that. It was already hell. It was already that bad. And alcohol, it was years of abuse. Years of mental, emotional, verbal abuse. We don't need a label. And I need you to know, like, I want you to know if there's any addicts on here in recovery or any addicts that are trying to get it, please know when I'm speaking about this stuff, I'm not talking about the true individual. I'm not talking about the true you. I'm talking about the addict. I'm talking about the disease addiction. I'm talking about the mental disorder of addiction. Unfortunately, when you are stuck in that, I know you may not think you're doing this, but unfortunately, symptoms of your disease or your disorder are abusive. You gaslight, you manipulate, you lie, you deceive, you sneak around, and you hurt. And you don't know that you're doing this. And again, I know it's not the true individual. I'm just letting you know that is what happened in the addiction. We cannot love someone in addiction and not go through mental and verbal abuse. It's very hard not to. Okay? So I need you to know I am not talking to you. I am not talking to you, the true individual. You are a good person. You are caring. You are loving. You are the reason, my God, we stay in it for freaking years. We just want you back. That is the reason. So please know, like when I'm talking about this, please do not know I am not trying to tear you down. I am not trying to tear people that struggle in addiction down. Because I know you are good, loving, and caring people. And I have to talk about the other side, that when you are in addiction, it hurts. And we as families have to realize
You cannot be a companion of their addiction and their abuse. So if there are people on here that are like me, that for years was going, am I going to be a bad person if I pick up and leave? You are not a bad person. You want to leave abuse. Do not think you're a bad person. You want to leave lies. You want to leave dissensions. You want to leave empty promises. And I'm going to tell you that is where your recovery is. Just like our loved one that we love and we stick around for, they need to find a day where they stand on their 2 feet and go, this is enough. I want to choose different. I don't want to use anymore. And yes, it doesn't come down to that simple choice. There is so much involved in that. However, it does come down to them going. That is why when I used to go in the AA rooms with my husband, my God, I saw so much strength and hope. Why? Because I saw so many different people in there going, I had something that was damn hard, and today, just for today, I don't want it anymore. I don't want it anymore. And so I want you to know, we as loved ones, we cannot control our loved one's addiction. So we need to make the decision for us. When is enough is enough. You're not a bad person if you choose, I need to choose another path and I need to leave. And I will jump ahead in this story right now, and I will tell you about this. After finding the cocaine, I remember going, enough is enough. I remember looking up divorce. I remember telling Mitchell I can't do this anymore. I remember finding shrooms in my basement. That was the last damn straw. I remember Mitchell coming up to me and going, Anna, I know you want to talk to me right now, but can I have this 24 hours to think? And I remember going in my mind, I don't even know if I have energy to talk to you. And so I was like, yes. And in those 24 hours, the next morning, Mitchell came to me. We sat down in our living room in Washington, Pennsylvania. And he looked across the couch from me and said, Anna, I have a problem. And I want to go to rehab. And I remember bawling. Because that was a moment where finally, God, I had real hope that maybe something could change. And after that, there's more to that story. Mitchell continued to use while we were waiting for get him into rehab. I remember being pissed off at him because he lied to me about drinking. And he's like, Ann, I don't know what to tell you. I'm a freaking addict. And I'm like, it doesn't mean that you drink and use. And honestly, newsflash, this is true. Usually addicts and alcoholics, before they go into rehab, they usually want one last hurrah. So just letting everyone know that. Mitchell checked himself into a rehab. He checked himself out into a rehab out in Utah. Again, Mitchell was from Pennsylvania. Checked himself out there in Utah. He stayed for about 83 days. There's more to that story, so I'll do another live about when Mitchell goes into rehab, just to tell you a little bit more, but I want to get through this. After that, Mitchell came home. He was in recovery for another 3 months. This is when Mitchell and I continued to go see Rachel again. And, you know, Rachel was right. Mitchell was an addict. We started talking, and that is when I did tell Mitchell about how I felt when he proposed to me, that I was scared, and what I said about my dad. And I thought that I was going to take that secret to my grave. I really thought I would never tell anybody. I thought I would die with that secret. Because I was ashamed. I was ashamed of how I felt. Who the freak? I mean, that's not something to feel like, yeah, a man proposed to me that I was supposed to be absolutely in love with and I was terrified of. Like, of course it's going to bring me shame. What you hear is you should be freaking over the moon and happy that the man that you loved proposed to you, and I was terrified. So I did talk to Mitchell about this in a therapy appointment with Rachel. Mitchell had just about 6 months then. After that, Mitchell did start declining. Rachel even noticed that, asked Mitchell what was going on. After that, Mitchell relapsed. Mitchell relapsed for a good 3 to 4 months. I did not really hold the best boundaries that first time, to be completely honest. But I had a great support system that did help me. I had met Laura Boberg and all my Alpine family support. So for 6 months, I was doing Saturday aftercare every single Saturday. Mitchell crashed the company vehicle because he took sleeping pills that he stole and drank alcohol.
Thank God he didn't kill anybody. He crashed the company vehicle at the end of his driveway. That was the turning point. I remember actually us being in the hospital room. And Mitchell, I asked him, Mitchell, did you relapse? Did you drink? Did you use? He said no. He actually looked back at me calmly and told me that they'll probably find a tumor in my brain because something's really going on. Then the doctor came in, and it was me, Mitchell, his mom, his dad, and his sister Hillary. And the doctor came in and said, you're drunk. You need to get back in your program. And Mitchell looked back at the doctor. And I think the doctor had left at that point, and he looked back at all of us and he said, I don't know what to tell all of you. I didn't drink, very calmly. Got in the car with Mitchell afterwards. Mitchell, did you drink? I didn't drink, Anna. I remember calling the hospital up. Here's the insanity. Calling the hospital up and asking if the alcohol levels were right. Because I heard 2 different alcohol levels. I'm actually believing an addict and alcoholic over doctors. This is the insanity again after just being in it for 3 to 4 months. Okay, I remember going in the next morning. Laura's like, you've got to hold boundaries, Anna. I went to Mitchell's family. I'm like, we've got to hold boundaries together. And I told Mitchell, and I said, Mitchell, did it get hard again? It's okay to go back to rehab. He said, Anna, I don't know what to tell you. I didn't drink. And I said, Mitchell, no, Mitchell then went, you just got to trust me. And I remember starting to cry and going, how can you even ask me to do that? And I remember him going, I guess this is what I get for what I did all this time. And I just remember calling Laura and Laura saying, and I remember hurt when she said this. She said, Annie, you're not strong enough to hold this on your own. And I remember being hurt by that because we as codependents, we want to be the strongest one in the room, right? That's part of our identity is we want to be the strongest of the individuals. So hearing that was like, wait a minute. But I knew what she meant. It's like, you don't have to do this alone. Mitchell then had Laura on just over Zoom. Within 5 minutes, I come back in and Mitchell wants to go back to rehab. So Mitchell goes back to rehab. He goes back to rehab for the second time. And in that second time, Mitchell then comes back home. He only went for 30 days, relapsed again. He relapsed again for another good to 3-4 months. There's a lot in that again. I had really gotten to the point of, I don't want to do this anymore. It was like Mitchell had never gone to rehab in the first place. And I was done. Held boundaries for months. I realized he was never going to change, so that this would always be my life. So I needed to make the decision for me. I remember telling Laura about how can you leave someone you love that you really think is sick. And this was the words that definitely set me free. She said, Anna, you're not leaving Mitchell. Mitchell had left you a long time ago. And something like that broke shackles off of me, realizing that I was not leaving someone sick. Mitchell had left me and himself a long time ago to the addiction. And after that, I wrote the 2 letters that you guys know of. 1 letter to the addict, 1 letter to the true individual. I read them to Mitchell. He could care 2 craps about it. He looked back at me and told me I didn't separate them well. He was definitely high on cocaine that day because his pupils were just, he was looking at me like he was insane. And after that, Mitchell left. And when he left to go down to the beach with his father, I packed up everything I owned in that house. And when Mitchell returned, that's actually when I read him the letters. I read him the letters when he returned. And after that, I packed up my car, I took my animals, and I left, and I came up here to Massachusetts. Stayed here for 3 weeks. Again, more to the story. I can tell you more tomorrow about from this, more in depth. The insanity. It was the hardest experience I've ever gone through in my life. And it came to the end where I told Mitchell, you know, I love you. This isn't out of anger. This isn't out of a consequence. I'm just telling you, if I give you this money, I'm walking away from this marriage. And Mitchell told me that wasn't fair. And I didn't say, like, life's not fair. I just proceeded to tell him the boundary again. And I told him, Mitchell, if I give you this money, I'm walking away from this marriage. And he said, I'm going to call you back. And Mitchell called me back about 10 minutes later and said, I want to go back to rehab. Bought him a plane ticket, Went back the next morning. He was pissed at me. He was going back to rehab. It felt like his family was upset with me because I made it so quick. I remember Laura telling me, you have that family call me individually if they need to. Mitchell should have been on that plane. You're doing the right thing. Don't you dare feel like you're doing something wrong. Mitchell went on the plane, and Mitchell fought for his recovery after that, and Mitchell had 5.5 years. Again, you know, obviously there's a lot more to the story because Mitchell getting in there, how do you build trust back, how do you work through resentments and all that, and I can come on and do that another day. So tomorrow I can come on and tell you a little bit more what happened during those relapses, because relapses are part of recovery sometimes, right? Or what people say the lack of. And so, you know, I definitely can tell more of that story, but we'll do that tomorrow. I'm sorry it was long again, but I feel like if there's newcomers to this, I could even, you know, find an app, I don't know how to do it though, and cut this down into 3-parters, and if people are interested in it in the 20 minutes and want more, they can go to the second part. If they're not, then they don't have to. I'm going to end it there, because that was a lot for me in all honesty. Sometimes it's a mixture of good and sucks, reliving my story, guys, because good to see how far you've come and how much I've challenged my own unhealthy behaviors, but sucks sometimes because I can't deny it. There's still this, like, what the frick was I thinking? Like, why did I do that? Why didn't I do this instead of that? And I can't get stuck in that, because then I'll get stuck in that shame and guilt, just like our loved ones in recovery can get stuck into that shame and guilt. And I need to feel it, but I can't get stuck in it. I need to work through it. So if I have those thoughts, then I need to do with what I know the truth of it is that I was doing the best I could with the knowledge I had at that time, just like all of us are. If we don't know about codependency, then we don't know about codependency, then we don't know about the behaviors that we're doing. If we don't understand addiction, then we don't know about addiction, that we don't understand that it doesn't come just down to a simple choice, that it really does rewire and change the brain, that we do think it's all about us, that we do believe it's all about why are we not good enough, especially if we have low self-worth. We're definitely hitting that going, look, it's because we're not good enough, so why aren't they choosing us? Why aren't they choosing the kids? Why aren't we doing... There's just so much in it. If we don't know about boundaries, then we're going to do the best we can with that, right? We're probably holding ultimatums and thinking we're holding boundaries, and we're like, why is this not freaking working? Why am I not feeling more peace? Well, because we don't know what boundaries really are. Okay? We're wondering, why is this not changing when I'm telling someone how much they're hurting? Because we don't understand addiction. So I just want everyone to know out there, like, we are doing the best we can. And I'm going to tell you, if people ask, like, Anna, how did you start challenging these behaviors? How did you start understanding this? I definitely think the first point was visiting Rachel in Washington, Pennsylvania. She was my therapist at the time. She helped me learn about codependency. She definitely turned the light on about addiction. Then when Mitchell went into Alpine Recovery Lodge, his rehab, I met Laura Boberg. She was a substance abuse counselor. She taught me about addiction. She told me to utilize my support system. I did not just not use that. I absolutely took her words. I utilized my support system. I utilized her. So when I was in the thick of things, when I'm feeling anxiety, when I'm triggered, I didn't just sit in it myself. I reached out to her. I reached out to my support, helped me learn so much. I listened, and I didn't just listen. When I learned about boundaries, I started holding them, and they were hard, and I utilized my support system to tell me, yes, it is hard, but you're doing the right thing, Anna. So I read, finally, after I had left Mitchell, I read Codependent No More by Melody Beattie. So all of that, all I can tell you guys is the same thing. Our loved ones that suffer an addiction, they can go, I'm going to go to rehab, I'm going to go to outpatient, I'm going to work with a sponsor, I'm going to do AA. And if they don't do it, well, of course nothing's going to change, because we're not putting effort into it. So the same goes for me. If I'm being told, hold boundaries, this is how you hold it. Reach out to me, Anna. Laura's going, reach out to me, Anna. Reach out to your support system. Speak up for yourself. And I don't do any of those things because I'm feeling like I'm a burden. I'm feeling like I'm not good enough. I feel like I'm burdening the people I'm calling. And life's not changing? Well, of course it's not going to change, just like on the addiction side. I'm not doing anything. I'm just listening to people. Listening is fantastic. But if we don't live with intention, if we don't put effort into our lives, guys, you are the change.
Okay? I know that's a freaking quote too. And so we're going to utilize it today. You are the change. We got to stop looking at our attic and going, if you change, my life is going to get better. Stop it. Stop it. You are giving your power away on a golden platter to the addiction. That is not helping. That is enabling. That is hurting you. You are your own change. We cannot keep, and I did it for years, so again, don't think you're alone. I did it for years. You change, Mitchell. You are the problem. If you did not drink, we would not be having these fights. If you did not lie, we would not be having these fights. I absolutely admit I was that person that went, you are the problem. So if you fix your problem, we will not have problems. God, that is such an illusion. I myself am a problem. Okay? I have my own unhealthy behaviors. But I just kept going. It's you, it's you, it's you, it's you. No. If I want change in my life, if I want change in my world, then you know what I got to do? Stand on my own damn feet and go, I want change. How do I make it happen? My God, take your power back. No, it's not easy. It's freaking hard as crap. Okay? If you need it, message me. I've already told you this a million times to everyone out there, and I mean it. Great Thursday night meeting. Not Al-Anon, not Nar-Anon, two great programs as well. It's CODA. It's based off of CODA too, so it's not just Codependence Anonymous which is a good thing. So when I say this, it's not a bad thing. Very the strict rules, no crosstalk. Codependence, Codependent Connection. Lot of my support system, my original support system from Alpine Recovery Lodge, lots of them in there. Okay, so that means they've been working a program for 6 years. 6 years, guys. You want people to help guide you, to learn from their experiences? These are people that have been working their recovery for 6 years, and they've been focusing on their codependency because it's based off of Codependence Anonymous. So it's not focused on the addiction, it's not focused on alcohol, it's focused on you. What can you do? So we as families have our same recovery. All right? And I just want to let you guys know this, if anyone's on here. I've been thinking more about this, and I know Mitchell's not going to watch this live because it's a long one also, but I'm going to tell you this right now. Mitchell's coming up. We all know in this story about 6 months ago, Mitchell relapsed. He went out to a concert. He used cocaine. He drank. He drank first, led him right back to his drug of choice, back to cocaine. He came in the next morning. He was open. He was honest. Anyone that's a newcomer in here, you can go back 5 months back. It was on January 20th, I believe. And Mitchell decided to come and be honest. So used that night, came that morning, was honest, did everything that we always talked about for the 5.5 years. And he came on We Are Recovery, and he was honest with everyone. I've been thinking about it more because I've been thinking about, does he lose all his time? Now, obviously, in all honesty, if you ask me, I don't think someone loses all their time if they get right back up, because this is a lifelong thing, and we need to learn to get back up, and it doesn't erase everything. But at the same time, I kind of went, that's not what that matters. It's not what matters. What matters is my husband, every relapse prior to this one, he has gone out for 3 to 4 months, even longer. My husband that night lapsed, came in the next morning and took accountability, stood up to a bunch of people, some that he knows, others that he doesn't. He told the world. Mitchell is coming up on July 20th on 6 months. That's what's important. I am damn grateful that my husband, which could have been back into that hell, which could have been, and I still stand by this, guys, I am never going back into that hell again. If Mitchell wants to use for months on end, he can count me not be there and not standing by his side. I am not going to live in that addiction. I am not going to put my daughter through that. If Mitchell wants to choose to continue to stay out and to go back into his addiction, I'm not going to be a part of it. So I am damn grateful that Mitchell stood back up and he showed my daughter, our daughter, that people can make mistakes, and you are not defined by your mistakes. You are defined by how you get back up and what you learn from them. I have a husband in there that has spent 6 months back in recovery. That, in all honesty, this relapse has taught us so much. It has taught us to get out of complacency. It has taught us to communicate with one another again. It has taught Mitchell to challenge his behaviors. I am damn proud of that man. So whether he is coming up to 6 years or it is 6 months, I am grateful that he took another 24 hours. I'm grateful that I did not have to sit in my daughter and listen to my daughter scream for her daddy because I had to leave him. So I will tell you, he doesn't know this, but I'm already writing a post for him because I am damn proud that if it keeps going this way, on July 20th, Mitchell is going to have 6 months of recovery again. And that is something to be damn proud of. It doesn't matter if he lost his time or not. I am just proud that he got back up. So I want everyone to know out there, again, if you're an addict in recovery, and if you're an addict struggling, just get back up. I saw a quote the other day that I will post soon. It is better to have a new sobriety date than have a date on your gravestone. So get back up. Do it for you. I know your family wants you to. We'd rather you have a new sober date than have to stand at your grave. And even if we've held the best boundaries in the world, you damn well better believe we will still stand there with guilt. In typical codependent fashion, there have been something more we could have done. So please know, I know there is shame and guilt of standing back up, but you can reach that man in there because he faced it. He felt so much shame and guilt after he lapsed. He had so much shame and guilt. It looked like looking at that scared and sad little boy that he did something he wished he never did. Get back up. Get back up because you are worth it and you are loved, even if we as family members have to make the decision to leave the addiction. We will still root you on from afar and hope that you get this, and we will still love you from afar. And truth be told, yes, we may never come back. Sometimes what is done, but that does not mean we stop caring about you. That does not mean we stop wanting you to get this. There are people out there that will support you, and we will support you from afar. And I will tell you right now, get back up if your family's still right there with you. Because there comes a day where sometimes we do have enough. And you don't know when that day will be. And you will hope with those words again, give me one more chance, one more chance, one more chance. But truth be told, maybe we have already given you and we have felt 1,000. Get back up today. Don't wait for another day. Today is a freaking great day. Okay, I don't know what today's date is. Maybe is it the 18th of July or the 19th? Someone can write it down. Why doesn't that be your recovery date? Today's date, make it your recovery date. Say no more. And for family members out there, you keep fighting for you. You keep holding boundaries because that is what's going to help your loved one. Whether you choose to stay or go, you do what is right for you. You do what is healthy for you. Hell yeah, Kelly. All right, so it's July 17th. That sounds like a damn good date for a recovery day. July 17th, 2024. Make this the day that you get into long-term recovery. And now, guys, I know I remember saying that this was going to be a short-lived video, and I'm sure it is freaking almost 2 hours long. So I'm going to get off of here. I am going to reflect, because we have talked about a lot, so there's a lot that I'm going to have to move through. But my God, I love you guys, and I don't know who sent me stars, but whoever you are, thank you so much for your stars. Thank you so much for believing in Mitchell and I. Thank you so much for supporting us in so many ways. Everyone out there, thank you for always continuously sharing our page. Anna, that is my TARDIS. I am a huge Whovian Doctor Who fan. I need you guys to know, I was looking at this the other day, we are almost at 17,000 people on this page. And we could not have done this without you. And I want you to know those are 17,000 people that have heard the message and hope about recovery, whether you are on addiction or codependency side. I need you to know we do not spread this message without you guys. We started just with our family. Almost 6 years ago, just with our family. It was all of you that continue spreading this message and spreading hope. And I know that that 17,000 is not even a reflection of the people that we meet and the family members we talk to. So I need you to know we are so thankful for your support. And it's not only just because of Mitchell, again, because of what this page is named. It is not Mitchell's recovery or Anna's recovery or anything to do. It is We Are Recovery. And it has nothing to do that we is not just Mitchell and I. That is not what we did when we said we. That is not the idea we had in our head. The idea we had in our head is when we said the word we are recovery, we knew we could not do this alone, and we didn't do this alone. That is why we chose We Are Recovery, to let everyone know you are not alone. None of us are alone. No matter the side, we, all of us together, we make a difference. We turn those candles on, those lights on. We cannot heal another person, but God, if we heal ourselves and we shine our lights, someone can look and go, how did you do that? And we share our story. We share our message. We share what's happened. All of you are sharing your story, sharing your message, and that is why we're making a damn difference in this world. And we can't do it without you. And I haven't said in a long time, and I know, guys, in all honesty, it's my codependency, and I feel like I'm doing something wrong. But if anyone out there, if you could continue helping us spread the message, if you could help us continue spreading these videos, even just the page We Are Recovery, or one thing that you can do to support Mitchell and I and other people out there is if you go to our page, I think there's a place where there's a place where you can invite all your friends. Invite your friends, because again, guys, we can't do it without you. And I'm telling you right now, we're going to expand larger. I'm going to start making posts about resources and for people to post them on We Are Recovery. I won't know them all, guys, so I got to be honest, but let's start figuring out more resources from different states. Okay, different rehabs, free resources for people if they don't have insurance. Let's start doing this together. Let's come together even more, and let's get this message out there, okay? I love you guys. I will answer all your comments back. I'm going to head inside, but I love you guys so damn much. Thanks for being a part of my journey. Thanks for helping me continue to learn how to become my authentic self and not feel shame or bad about that. Thanks for letting me be vulnerable. Thanks for letting me cry. Thank you for letting me feel my feelings and know that this is a safe place to do it. Honestly, it does. It means a lot to me, guys. I've always been scared of that crap. I've been scared of always being vulnerable. I could always help other people, but it was always hard for me to be vulnerable. So I want you to know, you guys have helped me, that when I get off this, I'm not going to have those thoughts which I used to of, oh my God, I cried. Why did I say this? Why did I do this? I'm going to go in and go, I got a damn good group of people around me. So thank you very much. I love you guys. Do some self-care for you, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye, guys.